Hey guys, thanks for joining again. Kind of wanted to finish up from our last video blog on what happened last week since it was kind of busy. So the last video I was telling you guys a little bit about our mobile clinic that we had out in Houma Hills. And so that was Monday last week. And then the following day, Tuesday and Wednesday, I was able to actually participate in a Clubfoot basic training course. So what does that mean? So pretty much in Kenya, there is a nonprofit organization called Clubfoot Care for Kenya, and they are supported by Hope Walks, which is like an international Clubfoot organization. And so Clubfoot Care for Kenya, pretty much annually, they have maybe 1 to 2 training courses. They aim to educate and train healthcare workers all over the country so that they can provide Clubfoot care for patients. So I think they said something about like, I think 1 in 1,000 births, a child is born with Clubfoot. And then I think I even heard like a crazy statistic where like in globally in low to middle income countries, pretty much there's like a 80 to 90% chance where a child's born with clubfoot, which is crazy high. But essentially, clubfoot is by the scientific name called Congenital Talipes Equinovarus. So most of the time, clubfoot is like idiopathic, meaning there's really no specific cause for clubfoot or why a child is born with clubfoot. And then in smaller situations, a child is actually born with secondary clubfoot, which is as a result of like other conditions they may have, such as like spina bifida or like arthrogryposis. But anyways, I think I mentioned this before on the videos, but a child can be born with their feet essentially like turned downward and inward. So they're kind of like turned inward like this way. And it can happen to one or both feet. And so what the training course does is essentially train people on how to treat idiopathic clubfoot with the Ponseti method. And so the Ponseti method has been found to pretty much treat, I think like 90% of all idiopathic clubfoot if we catch it early enough. And so what it is essentially like a 2-phase treatment technique where there's a corrective phase and then there's a maintenance phase. And so this training course, essentially, we are able to sit down with the trainers and you kind of go through the whole treating method. And so the corrective phase essentially consists of you kind of manipulating a child's foot, and then in that corrected position, then you cast it with kind of basic plaster cast. And pretty much you do that, I mean, it varies, but you can do it from 2 to like 8 times weekly with weekly changes. So, a child comes in, you assess it, then you manipulate the foot, and then you cast that foot in that position. You give it a week, they come back next week, you take off the cast, you manipulate the foot again, cast it in a new position, and pretty much repeat it. And then the child essentially gets to a point where their foot is corrected so it's no longer turning inward, so maybe able to put in the right position, but then they're not able to dorsiflex or bring their foot up. So at that point in time in the corrective phase, they train like clinical officers or doctors to do a tenotomy of the Achilles tendon. So ideally, when a child is younger than 2, they do a complete cut of the Achilles tendon, and at that age, pretty much they're able to heal relatively quickly. And so the idea is once you do a tenotomy, you can correct the foot position from going downward. Now it's able to go upward into like normal range of motion, and then you cast it in that position for like 3 weeks. In that time, a child's Achilles tendon will heal in a normal lengthened position. And so now they're able to achieve full range of motion with their foot. And pretty much once that corrective phase is done, the maintenance phase is actually consists of bracing. So it essentially looks like 2 shoes that has a bar in between. And so it places a child's foot in the correct position, and they're able to maintain that position, that brace. And pretty much that maintenance phase, a child has to wear that pretty much all day for the first 3 months. And then afterwards, once they're able to maintain that foot position, then they wear it every night until they're 5. So it's actually quite long of a treatment. So you have to make sure that parents and families are like buying into the treatment. But essentially, if they're able to maintain this, a child no longer would have clubfoot and be able to have full range of motion and be able to do their normal developmental um, um, milestones with like running and walking and standing, jumping, and have no problems. So it's a very effective technique. And with the amount of children that are born with clubfoot, it's something that Clubfoot Care for Kenya, they wanted to pretty much educate as many people as they can so that we can catch at least these children early on, because it'll be most effective if they're pretty much 2 or younger. So because it is kind of limited with how many times they do the training every year, they actually allowed our hospital to send 2 people as representatives to be trained. But then I was actually speaking with the clinical supervisor at Clubfoot Care for Kenya about like our Clubfoot March that we're having this week. And then she actually invited me to go as well too. So 3 of us were able to come from the hospital here and join there. So it was actually really good. Um, I've actually was able to see Clubfoot a little bit first when we were in Haiti, but then I never really got into it like with the actual hands-on and learning about it more so until I got here. And so, our Clubfoot clinic, like I mentioned before, on every Wednesdays. So now with my new training, I have a little bit more of understanding, and I'll be able to help a little bit more so if they need to, and for short staff. So it was a good learning experience just because we really don't get any training like that in the US. Like, I never heard about it when we were in physical therapy school, but it was a good learning experience. And it's just something that I feel like I will be able to use maybe future on if I was to continue here or help others. But anyways, hope you guys are doing well, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.